Meehan and Dr. Mason West.
Well, hello everyone, and welcome into Bare Bones. I know you're used to, Dr. Mason West driving and hosting this thing, but I guess it's me turn. Apparently, I'm the Lucky Charms guy now. It's my turn to fill in, and this is like a weird, crossover segment meets an old show revived kind of thing. So we got Bare Bones meets Bears Over Beers meets the formerly known as Lunch Pail Draftcast. So it's me and Jacob back again for the first time in a year and a half now, 2 years.
A hot minute, yeah. So we've done some of the the post draft stuff. That might have been the last time, honestly.
Yeah, I think we did the post draft stuff, but that was the last time, just because things happen, show schedules change, everything moves forward, and Jacob is an adult now. Everyone, for those who haven't seen him on here with me, he's gotten a job. He's outside of Mizzou, and I got a baby.
Lots. So,
Jacob, I know we didn't really talk about it. I kind of asked you on last minute to kind of come host with me today. It's Bears bye week, as the title would indicate, and this is a bare bones where we don't really have a ton of graphics, but there's really not a ton to go over. But the Bears are a third of the way through the season. We've got some interesting developments. We've got some things to kind of talk about. We'll sit down for a half hour, 45 minutes, kind of recap it. And if the time allows for it, you know what? We can go into some draft stuff too, because that's kind of where you and I tend to spend the most time of our free time anyway.
Oh, yeah.
So, I guess Jacob, start. Like I said, I'm completely going off the cuff with this. My lovely daughter is sitting here chiming in now that I'm talking. What is your overall feel for this Bears squad now that we're seeing them in a 4-2, I believe in third place of four teams in the division? What are you doing? So third place of a 4-team division, and I believe the first time since the division realignment in 2001 that we've seen all four teams in the same division have a 4-2 record or better. So, what is your overall feeling on the team?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like things are very encouraging. Obviously, it's not a finished product at this stage. I still feel like there's room to grow, on the offensive side of the ball, but things are trending in the right direction. I think you're looking at Caleb Williams especially. I think that's the big thing you can take out of this year is Caleb Williams' development. And not only are you seeing that, right out of the gate, you're seeing – week 1 and week 2, some of the stuff that he struggled with isn't necessarily a weakness anymore, or at least it's less of a weakness now. You can see him getting better at, he doesn't play as much hero ball. He's much more, conservative with the football. And, he's getting the ball out quickly. He's making smart reads, being able to make those full field progressions, go past the first read. I mean, everyone's seen that the chart where Caleb Williams is top 5 in terms of throws made past the first read. So I think for him to be doing that as a rookie is extremely impressive. And just from a mental perspective, it shows, all right, this dude means business, and he knows how to play the game. He understands the X's and O's behind it all. So I think that's the main thing to take away from it, but also the play calling looks better than it did to start the year. The run game looks better. The defense has been strong, the entire way through. Sure, I mean, there's a little bit of stuff you'd like to see cleaned up, and you can only take away so much considering it's a pretty weak schedule the Bears have gone up against. But I really do believe that at least the way the Bears have been playing, coming off of, a dominant win over the Jaguars and a dominant win over the Panthers, those are the teams you're supposed to beat, and they absolutely annihilated them. So I'm curious to see next week how things turn out with the Commanders game, because that's probably their toughest test they've had since the Texans game. So I'm interested to hear what you got to say, because I'm optimistic. I mean, I'm not entirely sipping the Kool-Aid where it's like, oh, the Bears are going to win the Super Bowl right out of the gate. But I feel like so far it's not far-fetched to say this looks like a playoff team.
I think early on, especially, it's certainly looking like they should at least challenge for the wild card, right? So I've said a few times, whether it be in our group chats that we have or on here, I felt early on, especially Waldron was kind of being sold as a false bill of goods to us.
Yeah.
And it's nice to have seen, like, there's been a couple of Seahawks reporters or bloggers who have been like, hey, guys, he's fine. He's just really slow to kind of adapt and slow to kind of get used to what his new talent is. And I think we're seeing that. Like, the offense is getting better. They're getting used to seeing what their best player and personnel packages are. So the best players are consistently playing. And I think that's been a welcome addition considering where we were at with the previous play caller who's now in Oakland or Las Vegas, whose name is now escaping me as I'm trying to keep my child entertained. Luke Getsy. And while it's slow, I don't think he's anything special, but I think he's a representative NFL play caller. So I think that goes a long way, especially when, like you mentioned, the growth and the maturation of Caleb Williams isn't just palpable, it's noticeable. You can see him getting better. You can feel him getting better. Take, for instance, even like last week where he clearly is aiming his deep ball right now. I don't know why this is something he didn't struggle with at all on USC film, where his deep ball it always felt like it was there. It's like now he's trying to recalibrate it, get used to NFL speed maybe.
Yeah.
And what NFL like coverages look like and when someone is coming open deep versus when they're just running free at USC, specifically more during his Heisman campaign, not when, Brendan Rice and
Todd Washington.
Oh, yeah, just tearing them up. But like he missed deep. And he left it short, and he probably should have thrown it toward the pylon 2 to 3 yards further, right? But then you see the touchdown throw later in the game to Keenan Allen, specifically the first one, not the fade, but the one over the middle of the field, where he's then doing like the Steph Curry ice water in his veins, like celebration, where he's tapping his right arm. It's like that's something you're not used to seeing out of a Bears quarterback, where typically if a former high round draft pick would have thrown an interception like that, he probably would have been almost like curled up and balled up and like kind of like, all right, we're going to hand the ball, play action pass, run pass, protect ourselves so he can't snowball. This kid is not that like the rest of them. So there's that. And then it's like, what is it? The Bears haven't allowed 21 points or more, or have allowed less than 21 points or in the last 13 straight games.
Which is nuts.
Which is nuts in this NFL. You're okay. And you factor in like this was a team in 2018 that had a really good defense, like one that people still like tout is with Akeem Hicks and those boys and Khalil Mack, like as one of those kind of defenses. When in all reality, to this point, this defense is just as good, if not better. And the Bears, lo and behold, have another, what could be, for their era at least, historical defense for what they're doing. And that's great, especially because, when everyone else was ready to jump off the Jaquan Brisker train, I was just ready. Like I never sold my stock. That's my kind of player. Like, and we all know run and hit safeties, especially ones built like Jaquan, who isn't like the most, I don't want to say he's small, but he's not like a super sturdy built, safety.
Yeah.
They're not here for a long time, and they're here for a good time. And you're seeing that even now with like the likes of Jamal Adams asking for his release and being granted that from Tennessee earlier today. But the start has in a weird way exceeded my expectations, even though I expected them to at least challenge and win games earlier on in their schedule. But it's been, and it's one of those things. Like I was, as much as I liked the Eberflus hire at the time, and now I'm sitting here understanding that, yeah, I probably would have fired him even now, like knowing what I know back in the offseason. He's getting better.
Yeah.
And he is, we always say, you got to adjust, you got to adjust, you got to adjust. You could make an argument there is no better adjusting head coach right now in the NFL than what he's doing, sans maybe when LaFleur had to pivot to Malik Willis.
Yeah.
For those couple weeks. he is adjusting, and he's adjusting very well. So I credit where credit is due, really. Like, and when you talk about head coaches, what do you always talk about? You talk about their units. Like, he's a defensive guy. The defense is nothing short of great. Yeah. They're awesome. And this is without a second pass rusher to really be spoken of on the edge outside of Montez Sweat. And for all the wonderings I had about Gervon Dexter, good on him. He's still not a great run defender or a good run defender even, but he at least tries now more than he seemingly used to.
Yeah.
But they're a very good unit, and the team is really interesting, and I look forward to the Commanders matchup going forward.
Yeah, and I think a big part of that, too, is looking at the adjustments that are being made on both sides of the ball from the coaches.
Sure.
And that's something that we haven't necessarily seen a ton of in recent Bears history. You know, Getsy, that wasn't necessarily the case. Nagy, that wasn't necessarily the case. We're seeing it with Waldron. We're seeing it with Eberflus. And one thing I want to point to on the offensive side of the ball is how the run game has changed, because that's something where the first couple of weeks, DeAndre Swift wasn't doing anything. He had no opportunities to work with, but at the same time, he was confident he was good. But at the I think that with some of the adjustments that are being made along the offensive line, with Davis being taken out of the starting position, especially now with Matt Pryor, like 6'6", like what, 330, 340, something crazy like that. He's a big guy. And I think that that's something where, I mean, I'd have to go back and check, for some of the statistics about, zone versus gap and stuff like that. But I truly think, the Bears have embraced a bit more of a running style.
100%, Jacob, because when I go back and I've watched specifically the last 2 weeks, the thing that they've done a lot more of, they're getting Swift out in space, which is something he needed to do.
Yeah.
The Philadelphia offensive line, especially of recent vintage, is going to make anyone look like a really good runner.
You and me would average 2 yards per carry behind that.
It'd be a very slow 2 yards per carry, but we would do it. It would happen. And then it's like getting incorporated, like Herbert has been incorporated, but Roschon Johnson being your hammerhead of sorts, where he's just. But to your point, the thing I've noticed a lot of, they're using a lot of duos and split zone. Mm-hmm. It's just get upfield. Don't make it. You're not having to have to read what's in front of you and then make a one cut and go. It's designed to go through this gap or through this hole. Just go.
Yeah.
And that's really what this offensive line, when they're at their best, probably is designed to do. Like, I get they kept Chris Morgan, and I get that they want to be this wide zone, like, outside running team, but they're just not.
Yeah, I mean, just the roster they have in place right now, a majority of those offensive linemen are better suited for power. And that's not to say they're bad in zone, but you look at Tevin Jenkins, nasty, powerful dude. He's a good athlete for his size, but what he's most known for is that play strength and that tenacious demeanor. Darnell Wright, kind of the same thing. Again, not a bad athlete.
Mm-hmm.
He's more of a power guy. And then you bring in Matt Pryor, even Bill Murray. I'd say he's not a freak athlete by any means, but he was the type of guy where it's like, all right, he's sound and he's strong. That's all you really have to, do. Just take advantage of that. Don't ask him to move a whole lot. Most of that offensive line, and then I'd say Braxton Jones fits a little bit more of that wide zone mentality. And Shelton, go either way. I guess he's a little bit more undersized, but that's something the offense and the coaching staff deserves a lot of credit for, is the adaptability and playing to the offensive line strengths. But like you were saying, DeAndre Swift's strengths with the, you don't have to read and react. It's like, all right, you're going up this gap, just shoot there,
just follow his butt. That's it.
It makes life so much easier for him. And
there's been the other fun wrinkles, like Doug Kramer at fullback is fun.
Yeah.
Like, do I think it's good? I don't particularly know. It's a very small sample size.
Yeah, I mean, who cares? It's fun. It's fun. I can't hate on something like that where it's so low stakes. It's like 2 or 3 plays a game. It's just like just throw the fat guy out there. Who cares? You know, it's
well, I mean, isn't that literally what the Ravens did with their fullback? It was like
Patrick Ricard.
Like this guy was a defensive tackle, but you know what?
Yeah,
he's pretty good at the whole fullbacking thing.
And the Chargers are doing that with Scott Matlock too, the Boise State dude.
Yeah, the Boise State kid.
He's playing both ways.
That's awesome. So it is a very welcome change, right? Like something we haven't really seen before in terms of like true adjustments. And I do wonder how much of that has been like just coaches being better. Like I know we got the revamp. This is Flus 2.0. He's handsome now. He's got 2 new coordinators and stuff. But even his like Eric Washington was very highly regarded when they got him in terms of what he did. And look at the defensive line. It's spare parts in Montez Sweat, really, along with Gervon Dexter's ascension. Andrew Billings is awesome, and that is what peak male performance looks like. I will not hear another argument for what body type peak male performance is. Oh, yeah. But like Darrell Taylor is someone I liked coming out of college. I never hit that because he looks the way you should look as an edge rusher, specifically one that is just, hey, hand in dirt, go get quarterback. Is he particularly good? No, not really. Like, the same thing goes for a lot of these guys. Like, I think that they may have something in the Kansas kid, but I don't know that for sure. You know, Booker's flashing here and there, but there's nothing substantial yet.
And it's such a small sample size too. It's tough to tell like definitively what he's going to be. But you're right.
And also for someone, I was like a resident. Roquan Smith's one of my favorite players in football, and then moving on from him was tough for me. And then especially when you had to go and pay Tremaine Edmonds. Tremaine Edmonds on film, at least, I don't know. I haven't looked at his PFF stuff in terms of grading. He has objectively had, from what I can tell, his best season as a pro to this point.
Yeah,
he's been an amazing surprise. I don't think he's like an amazing football player, but I think he's much better than what he had shown previously during his tenure with Buffalo or early on with the Bears last year.
100%. And the crazy thing is, like, I think Edmonds' best year with the Bills, I think, was the last one, and he made the Pro Bowl for it. He had 2 Pro Bowls heading into that, and neither of those seasons were like amazing. It's just him still trying to figure the linebacker him out.
And maybe we should have always taken it into consideration with him that he was a football infant. Really, I think he was drafted at 20.
Oh yeah,
coming out of Tech. Yeah. Like, he was a baby. Like, I don't even know that he's 26 or 27 yet. So
I saw a stat that, you know, Cam McCormick, the Miami tight end who's been in college forever, he's older than Tremaine Edmonds, and Tremaine Edmonds has been in the NFL since 2018. That's just an absurd statistic, but I mean, I'm with you there. I think you're seeing this, you know, the athleticism and that insane size and length and tackling radius. You're seeing it coming here, and he looks more confident in the decision making. He looks, you know, he's able to act on his reads quicker. He doesn't look lost nearly as often. So I'm happy you brought that up, because I think he's someone that not enough people are talking about, as he didn't really have a great first year. He had the 4 interceptions, but as far as like a consistent down-to-down player, wasn't all that great. Now you're seeing this is why they paid him, and you're starting to see that vision come to fruition here.
I absolutely agree with you there, 100%. Is there anything that's caught your eye early on in terms of something you weren't expecting?
That's a good question. So, I would say Edmonds, but I'm going to stay along the defensive line, and I'm going to go with Dexter. I think that the quick development we've seen from him as a pass rusher has been really impressive. And like you said, is he great against the run? No. And I think that just naturally, with him having such a high center of gravity, it's going to be tougher for him to get low, win the pad level game, you know, eat up those gaps in the run game, just naturally because of the way he rushes and the way he plays. And that's something, I mean, we'll see. He's still got, hopefully got a long career ahead of him, but that might be something that he never is truly great at.
So I talked about this with Mason leading into the season on one of our preview shows.
Yeah.
I do wonder, he was a basketball player by trade. That's what he grew up doing and what he wanted to be. Basketball players, it's not low man wins.
Yeah.
Like there's certain points with boxing out and stuff where, you want to get the lower center of gravity to get the inside position or whatever. But largely it's about being big and using your height to your advantage. And I just don't know what that inherently being his athletic makeup.
Yeah.
If it's something that's ever going to be truly like, not that he can't learn it and do it like on a occasional basis, but just something like some guys just play with natural leverage because like Montez Sweat, for as big as he is, plays with a natural leverage and is able to use those long arms and get into the pads of a defender and keep himself low. Dexter's just consistently high, and that's not necessarily his. I mean, it's his calling it his fault is different, but just the way he was developed as an athlete growing up, it's never going to be something I think he's going to be stellar at. And that's not a knock at him. He's been awesome. He's second in the NFL for interior defensive linemen and sacks.
Yeah.
He's doing the thing that he was really drafted to do, which is go hunt quarterback.
Yeah. And that's something where I'm really glad that he's been able to embrace this, pin your ears back, get after the QB.
They even lined him up outside, Jacob.
I know. Yeah.
Put him at end.
You get like 5 or 6 plays a game where it's like, oh, what's Dexter doing off the edge? It's kind of crazy. But I mean, you got a guy that quick and everyone's like, I remember coming out of Florida, everyone's like, oh, the get off sucks. I mean, yeah, but that's also schemed with what he was supposed to do. Like defensive linemen in certain schemes, I know I was never a defensive lineman. My brother is rather still a defensive lineman. He says, oh, there's some plays where they have like this,
it's like a read and react thing for them where they're trying. It's not just about shooting your gap. It's about integrity and basically making a read on the play. It's a hard job to ask, and it's also a hard thing to unlearn when that's the thing you're being taught.
100%. And I think that's part of why, coming out, there was some inconsistency with Dexter's, with some of his tape is because he's not fully able to maximize those physical tools, relies a little bit more on football instincts, which at the time, he was still a work in progress. So I think we're really to see.
And he may not. And like I said, he may never have truly great football instincts. Some guys never do. As much as I'm crediting Tremaine Edmonds, he still does not look like he's, hey, read, react, go get football.
He's not Luke Kuechly.
No, well, Luke Kuechly, I'm convinced, was stealing the playbook from opposing players.
He was unbelievable, but
unreal. So, kind of in the same vein, I was really interested to see. And maybe it's just because of my pre-draft eval on him, and this is where, the joke I always make when we text back and forth. Your favorite prospect is just more reps or a different team away from being good.
Yeah,
that's just the joke I make.
Yeah,
I thought Tyler Scott, despite being wide receiver 4 or 5, was going to have a slightly bigger role than what he currently has, and we just hardly, if ever, see him. And Mom, Daddy duty's done. And I thought he'd at least have a role as a deep threat, where just by his very presence on the field, he's so fast that you have to account for the fact that, hey, 13's here, guys. Don't lose him. And I don't think we ever see him really.
Yeah, I mean it's been interesting because I feel like it's pretty clear that there's a pecking order in this Bears offense where maybe I guess the receivers are a little bit more flexible and Kmet's a little bit more flexible, but DeAndre Swift's going to get involved in the passing game. Roshan's going to get involved a little bit. And, DJ, Keenan, Rome, Cole, they're all going to get involved. And I feel like that's sort of seeing
DeAndre. Yeah. I mean, there's a whole lot of mouths to feed.
Yeah, like DeAndre Carter was, pretty active when he was wide receiver 3 over Tyler Scott, which I think is, something. Like he was fine. He got like 3 catches in that, I want to say the Texans or the Colts game or something. But I'll admit it's a little surprising because he's been AWOL essentially on the offense. And
and that's just something I wasn't expecting.
yeah, I mean, and like when you have this type of offense where you have so many mouths to feed, like I guess someone's going to be someone's going to fall victim to it. So it's, I guess it makes sense. But at the same time, it's like, this was a dude who was good at Cincinnati and a dude who just is a freak athlete.
And I think the part that was most confusing to me, especially because he started to flash a little bit near the midway point of the preseason.
Yeah.
He's still new to wide receiver.
Yeah.
Like he did the reverse of what the running back now in New York is doing. I'm sorry, I'm blanking on names. Daddy Duty and just coming up.
Yeah.
He was drafted out of Purdue. Tyrone Tracy Jr.
Oh, yeah.
Tyrone Tracy Jr. was a wide receiver who went to running back.
Yeah.
Scott is a running back who went to wide receiver out of necessity, I believe was how it went. And they're like, hey, we just need a wide receiver. And it was like something like every touchdown he scored his final season at Cincinnati went for 44 more yards. It's like there's an applicable skill there just because you are an amazingly fast athlete.
Yeah.
Like he's not football fast. He's fast.
Yeah.
Like, so I guess that'd be my big surprise, other than really just the coaching staff as a whole, early on at least, really just being a breath of fresh air. I mean, Flus is still weird and he's not great with the media. He probably never will be at this point, but it's the adjustment, seeing what Eric Washington's doing and seeing how the defensive line is developed despite not it's all been just a happy surprise. Like, oh, this is nice.
Yeah. No, for sure. And I think it's, again, like I said earlier, it's something you really haven't seen with the Bears. I'm boring Danny, I guess. This is my show.
No.
No, I'm messing. But no, yeah. I'm like, God, is my voice really that annoying? Shoot. Okay. So we lost him. Well, here I am. This is the Jacob Infante show. While we wait for Danny to come back. But yeah, I think that when you're looking at this Bears coaching staff, it's been such a long time since you've seen, I want to say since 2018, honestly, since you've seen, and he's back.
I'm always back, dog.
There we go. But yeah, so I was just saying, like, I think it's been a while since you've been able to look at this Bears coaching staff and be like, yeah, these guys seem competent. And I mean, is it perfect? No. I feel like the first quarter script, weirdly enough, has been pretty ass. I feel like the script with, especially the last game, what we saw to Shane Waldron in the first quarter was pretty underwhelming. Mm-hmm. As the game went on, weirdly enough, you figure it's the opposite. That's when things really started to turn around. And we'll see. I feel like, the start was pretty bad to the point where it's like, all right, proceed with caution. I don't really know if I can trust it, but slowly but surely there's progress being made. There are adjustments being made. And I think especially with the Commanders game coming up, this is a good opportunity. I think this coaching staff, you give them 2 weeks to prepare for a good team. It's going to be interesting to see how that plays out, because I was in the same boat you were. I would have fired Matt Eberflus, this past offseason and brought someone else in. Just because of the timeline. If you're bringing in Caleb Williams, it makes sense. A new offense, But if Waldron's being a dude on offense, who's holding up strong on defense, then there's no need to make a change. So there's still a lot of season left to play. I'm not going to claim, this coaching staff, this is going to lead the Bears to the Super Bowl. But there's been a turnaround, and I think that's something that's worth acknowledging.
So, I mean, you brought it up. We touched on the Commanders a couple times. Now, should we get into Caleb Williams, Jaden Daniels discourse that seems to be running rampant right now, because I feel like there's no way to really avoid it, especially with that being the Bears' next upcoming game. And even now, Jaden Daniels' upcoming opponent this week is the Carolina Panthers, a team Caleb Williams recently squared off against. Yeah. So let me first start by saying I like Jaden Daniels. Mm-hmm. Jaden Daniels is one of my favorite college football players to ever grace a field. I can also say this and separate that from what I thought of people as an NFL prospect. I think taking him to this day at number 2 was wildly ridiculous with Drake May staring you in the face. Now, at this moment, it's playing out wonderfully, and it may continue to play out wonderfully. There's a chance all 3 of them are great who went 1, 2, 3. I just need this to be said and be understood. The two quarterbacks playing football are not playing the same game.
Yeah.
Jaden Daniels is effectively running and being asked to run the same things he was doing at LSU. And that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. But a couple weeks ago, it was like something like 77% of all first down plays or screens or running plays. He hasn't attempted, I believe, but one throw all year between the hash marks. These are all things that you if you watched him at LSU, he just didn't do. Now, maybe he is a statistical outlier in that if every time you break pocket and scramble, it's a 10-yard gain, well, then it doesn't matter. But I think he's having a phenomenal year, and he might be one of them ones in terms of hey, outliers exist. We're always going to point to Josh Allen, but there's, sometimes no matter what you say, no matter what the numbers say, no matter what the film says, I can enjoy a player and also admit that maybe I was wrong on his scouting report. And to this point, maybe I'm wrong. But they are not playing the same game because Caleb Williams is being asked to drink from the fire hose and what he's asked to do.
Yeah, I mean, I think that sums it up really well, honestly. It's 2 totally different offenses, totally different workloads that they're, going up against. Mm-hmm. And I feel like the ease, again, like you were saying, even if this, Commanders offense isn't incredibly complex, I'll give Jaden Daniels credit in that he is doing what they ask of him very well. And he deserves credit for that. It's like, I was talking with Kyrie about it, and it was the whole thing where, with JJ McCarthy about, coming out of Michigan, it's like, oh, he wasn't really asked to do that much. Yeah, but the things that he was asked to do, he did really well. So that becomes that argument. You can talk yourself in circles for hours, but I think that what Caleb Williams is doing is, at least to me, a little bit more impressive just because they're asking him to play point guard. He's running the show. He is this Bears offense right now. He's making decisions past his first read at a much higher rate than Jaden Daniels is. He's making full field progressions much more often than Jaden Daniels is. He's staying in the pocket, making pre-snap adjustments. And I think that that's something where, from a long-term sustainability perspective, I feel really good about what we've seen from Caleb Williams. Not even just from a physical perspective, not just the arm talent, not just the athleticism, but the mental aspect of it. I think Caleb is far beyond a lot of rookies. He's, you're looking at like that CJ Stroud level, Joe Burrow level of processing and the ability to know what to do with the football right out of the gate. And Jaden Daniels, I think that I'll give him credit for this. I think his deep ball is better than Caleb Williams at this stage. Mm-hmm. And, there were a handful of throws that I've seen, just highlight clips of, or, watching the game on Sunday Ticket, where it's like, dang, that's a really good big time throw from Jaden Daniels.
His touchdown pass to Terry McLaurin is the best throw I've seen him make all year.
Yeah.
That throw, it can be a good to very good catch by Terry McLaurin, and also understanding that was a phenomenal football that was thrown by Jaden Daniels.
Absolutely. And I think you and I were both on the same page that we don't want to crap on him saying, oh, who cares how high his completion percentage is? Who cares how many games they're winning? that counts.
It counts. Yeah. I think him winning Rookie of the Week this week was a little bit ridiculous, but that's a fan vote. Like, whatever.
Yeah.
The other thing I will say is if we're talking about the things that we mentioned, I always make it a point when I'm doing my breakdowns, because I'm the old guy. I fucking write with pen on paper when I'm watching and breaking down kids coming out of college. I always make it a point to differentiate between accuracy and ball placement.
Yeah.
I think I very much underrated Jaden's ball placement. Because in his quick game, no matter how much it's coming, he's so efficient and so dialed in and knows exactly what he wants to do with the football and puts it where it needs to be within that 5 to 7 yard space so often that even if it's coming, it kind of doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Because he's just really, really locked and loaded at that specific aspect of his game. Now, he showed that at LSU, but it's in the NCAA, it's really just if you're spreading them out and throwing it where they're not, it's hard to really differentiate ball placement versus accuracy. That was the Josh Allen argument, right? Where he's got a 56% completion percentage at Wyoming. Well, how many of these are just because his guys literally can't catch the football and they're not open? And he's putting it somewhere where they can potentially get it. They're just not good enough to make a play. Right? So it's a learning game. It's always lessons learned in the evaluation process, right? So I'm happy to be wrong on that. I'm happy he's good. I genuinely love the player.
Yeah.
I just wanted it to be clear that you need to differentiate what they're being asked to do and the style of game that they're playing. Jaden Daniels is working on his doctorate in quarterbacking, or Caleb Williams is working on his doctorate in quarterbacking. Jaden Daniels is in football 101 still right now in what he's being asked to do. But if you're a master of the KISS method, keep it simple, stupid.
Yeah.
Who cares? Like at a certain point, it doesn't matter. Like we all knew Steph Curry was going to shoot threes. Didn't matter.
Yeah.
I'm not saying Jaden Daniels is going to be Steph Curry, of his sport. I'm just making a very, very low-hanging fruit comparison.
Yeah, and it's like, who cares if Steph Curry had to play, say, Russell Westbrook's game or Derrick Rose's game, prime Derrick Rose. You're not that's not him. That's not his skill set. Sure, he might be solid at it, but he's not going to be as good as those other guys. But he plays his own game very well, and I think that's a good comparison with both of them are kind of small and skinny dudes anyway. So it's like they both play a little bit of an outlier. I don't want to say outlier, so to speak. But
Jaden weighed in at like 205, right? Like
something like that. I don't know.
That man ain't no 205.
No shot. Yeah, he's like 190. If that. Yeah. I weigh more than him. Probably.
Well, if you ask your Twitter followers, you weigh more than everybody, apparently.
Yeah. Apparently, I weigh like 350 pounds. And I swear, I feel like the number or just the sentiment, it increases every single time I get one of those comments. It's like, hey, you're a little chubby or something. And it's like, oh no, you're morbidly obese. And I'm like, I can't even keep track anymore. I don't know what people think I am, but
well, it's like you and I do it with each other, but it's like anytime someone sees a slow plotting running back run somebody over in college, and he might be draft eligible, I get a text message. It's like, guys, can I live a day without yes, I have a brand. We all have our brands.
Yeah.
Like if anyone who follows me, for the small following I have of the draft, the second you watched Keon Coleman, you knew it's like, yep, that's Dan. Yeah. That just makes sense. Like, okay, because I can't get out of my own way. It's never gonna happen.
Yeah, like get a wide receiver who runs like a 4.7, but can absolutely catch the 50-50 ball like a demon
and dunk on you. If you're big and have no route tree and are slow, but you'll dunk on someone, I'm in. If you're also 5'7", and faster than hell, I'm probably in.
Yeah, those absurd extremes.
Yes,
I don't
exactly.
want to say absurd, but extreme, one way or the other. That's definitely so. I guess I feel like I have to ask now, since we're like kind of talking about it, what you think about McMillan from Arizona then, because that's a dude where he's. I mean, like I have a little bit of questions about the separation, but again, he just.
Dude, I love him.
Yeah,
He's awesome.
I'm getting Mike Evans vibes. I'm getting Mike
Yeah,
Evans.
I was thinking, I had like Walmart brand Mike Evans.
Yeah.
It's hard to not see that, right? But yeah, we could, don't get us. I mean, we started on ourselves. Before we get out of here, I guess, because we've been going for 41 minutes, and it's really not the Commanders preview show. That'll be next week with Kyrie and I. But I guess before we get out of here, let's just touch on the Bears rookie class to this point, or like maybe even Ryan Poles' draft classes overall. I mean, we've only got 3 of them to look at.
Yeah.
So we can kind of touch on who's impressed us, who's obviously disappointed us. Shouts out to Velus Jones Jr. and Zach Pickens. And then who do we still have hope for? And then we'll get out of here.
Yeah. So, and quick shout out to the real Jack Sanborn here in the Twitter chat. But whatever. Anyway, so I think that this year especially, I'm sorry, I just got totally distracted. Like my attention span is totally off the wall.
Are you supposed to be Riz Daddy?
I don't know if that's me or if that's the Jack Sanborn account who's supposed to be Riz Daddy. I have no idea. I'll take it. I think it's applicable either way. But no, I think Lord, okay. Where
the fuck is this show?
What's going on? I don't even know what the hell is happening at this point. I am Jack Sanborn. Hell yeah. We got Jack Sanborn in the chat.
I am Groot.
Jesus Christ. But yeah, so I think this rookie class, I mean, Caleb is as advertised, or at least he has been through these couple weeks, these last couple of weeks. I'm confident that this is who he's going to be instead of those first couple weeks. I mean, we still have to see how he's going to be in the divisional games, but I think you're looking at the arm talent, the accuracy, the decision-making, the athleticism. So much of it's already there. And you can argue till the cows come home. Oh, the Bears should have drafted Jaden Daniels. Shut up. Like, just shut up. Dude. Like, get laid, all right? Like, I don't know. I don't know what to tell you. Like, Caleb Williams is a good quarterback. Who cares if Jaden
and here's the other part of this. Even if Daniels ends up very good in his own right,
yeah,
you know what's good for the NFC? 2 good quarterbacks entering it, because currently there's Jordan Love and Dak.
Yeah. Like Kyler's decent, Brock's decent. Who's elite? Which quarterbacks are elite in the NFC? Nobody.
I mean, God, part of me really wants to believe Jalen Hurts is, and Nick Sirianni's just a fraud amongst all frauds. But that's my guy. I've got no bad things to say about Jalen Hurts other than, dog, you got to throw over the middle of the field a little bit more. But fam.
No, but you're right though. Like it's huge for the NFL. It'd be awesome for the NFC. I mean, you're looking at the AFC. It's Mahomes, Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson, Justin Herbert. Joe Burrow,
CJ Stroud.
Maybe Drake May can be that guy. Who knows?
And I'm also not going to disparage my guy Geno Smith. He's a good NFL quarterback, but
he's good. He's a good quarterback.
But no, this class has just been like, I think Rome's going to be awesome. Like, I know we talk about Malik, and I know we talk about obviously Marvin Harrison Jr.
Yeah,
but I think Rome is figuring it out. I think he had a mental curve that I didn't expect to see from him, where it was like he just felt like he was like in the wrong place, or like not finishing his routes the way he should. But he's going to be fine.
I agree.
Like, I mean, we can touch all over the place. Going back to Poles' first draft, there's no way around it. Both Kyler and Jaquan are heads.
Yeah.
Kyler might have an argument for the best nickel in football right now. That dude is
so much fun to watch.
Did you see the play he made on the screen pass where he sheds the block and is able to trip him up with one arm?
Nuts.
Like, that's a nickelback.
Yeah.
Not Chad Kroger, by the way, but a nickelback.
Not that. Yeah.
No, not Chad.
Not look at this photograph. That's not what we're talking. But it's and that's something too. Like this Bears secondary, I'll give Poles a lot of credit. These guys can tackle. There's not a single bad tackler in that starting secondary. And even the backups are pretty decent. Like Blackwell's scrappy, Jalen Jones is scrappy, Terrell Smith, he's been hurt a little bit, but
I think Terrell Smith can play actually.
Yeah.
I do wonder if Terrell Smith's a safety in the future, full disclosure.
Yeah.
But I think they've got a bunch of ball players, and it's clear Eberflus specifically understands the back seven. I don't know why, but because you would have expected linebackers to be his thing. But hey, he found Jack Sanborn, Taylor Swift's ex-boyfriend, in there.
Yeah, who's here in the chat with us here apparently.
Oh yeah, apparently that's the real Jack Sanborn.
Yeah. But
I mean, he's obviously got his fair share of misses. Pickens looks like it's not great.
Nah.
Velus Jones Jr., I don't know why you didn't trade him at this point. He's not even playing.
Yeah. It's like, you could have had a 4th-round pick for him or whatever. It's just like you're holding out hope for something that's not going to happen. Like he's already like 45 years old already at this point.
He's 76 and he's collecting Social Security while being in the
NFL. Yeah, he's slowly but surely losing his ability to walk. It's fine. But no, it's I don't know. I mean,
the most ridiculous show. What is this?
We're having a good time.
Yeah, I mean, just to finish off this draft class, Karan Amagaji might be a starter for you going forward, depending on how they feel about Braxton Jones. And I really liked him coming out of Yale. I was shocked that he declared, honestly, because he had the red shirt, right, after tearing his quad tendon, and he could have gone back.
He could have had a medical red shirt, because I think he played like 3-4 games last year only.
But that guy, if you watch his college film, it's like a big dog playing amongst really small, like teacup dogs.
Yeah.
Like he's just so much better than everybody else.
Yeah.
The technique is not great, and nothing about it is like it's a ball of clay, but the dude is just so gifted.
I mean, guys that tall with that long of arms shouldn't be that athletic.
Who move that way.
Yeah.
And then we already touched on Austin Booker. Torrey Taylor, like the first few weeks, looked like a not great selection, but the last few weeks he's really turned it on, and maybe he is the game-changing punter that they thought they were getting.
Absolutely. I mean, that's a dude. I'd go to war for Torrey Taylor. I would run through a brick wall if he asked me to.
I would go to war.
Yeah. I'd be out on the front lines, AK and everything, if Torrey Taylor asked me to. But no, it's a good looking rookie class, and
I mean his class is overall like he doesn't ever seemingly have enough picks. Everyone likes to point to the first class where they took like 7 guys between rounds 6 and 7. Like those are throwaway picks. Like, but even last year, like Tyreek Stevenson, Gervon, Darnell Wright looks like he's coming back around. Terrell Smith. Roshan Johnson, like Tyreek Stevenson's really good at football. Like, and when they took him, I questioned whether or not he'd be a fit. Like, I honestly thought if there was any corner they were really targeting in that draft, like later on, because I didn't think they'd go corner that high again. Like, I really thought Riley Moss was someone they would have loved.
Yeah.
But
Darius Rush was that year too, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's one where I'm like, I'm kind of surprised he hasn't panned out. The tape was good. The testing is good. It's a shame, but I think it all worked out for the Bears, honestly. So I'm not complaining one way or the other.
Yeah. So, I mean, that's really about it, Jacob. Like I really got nothing else to talk about unless you do.
Not necessarily. No. I mean, I think we touched on a lot. We made it over 1,000 viewers, which is pretty sweet for it being live. That's not counting, whoever's going to watch the YouTube after the fact on Second City.
I mean, we're definitely attributing it to that. My 2,100 followers, not more than half my following just tuned in to hear my dumb ass have a thought.
Yeah. I mean, dude, like You know your shit. You know your shit. So
yeah, not the guy with like 100,000 followers. Not that guy.
whatever.
Nah. All right, Jacob. Well, obviously we know where to find you at Jacob Infante on the Twitter or Bird or Twixter, whatever the fuck you want to call it now.
I don't know.
You can find me on the same thing at my little handle on there at Dan Meehan 90 MEEHAN as in Nicholas. The numerals 90. That's really all I got.
There we go.
It's been a fun little bi-week show. We covered a lot. We talked. We of course, in our typical fashion, whenever we get together, got completely frazzled and bamboozled by at least something along the way. But
yeah, something always happens. That's
because why wouldn't it?
Yeah, because it's real. That's the thing. It's not, no like fancy studios. Like we're doing this from our respective homes. I'm on a laptop. I'm sure you got something set up. Like we're just guys hanging out. Like and that's part of the fun. I feel like it's
I mean, this is my dumbass too. I'm in my daughter's nursery filming while my wife's taking care of the kid. But shout out to the Bare Bones sponsor Kombucha. You can get a discount by using the promo code Bear Gut Check on their website. If you like kombucha and you like lemonade and they combine into one and you want something good for your gut, give it a shot. It's delicious. Mason would approve of my messaging here. That's it, Bare Bones fans and Jacob Infante fans and my small 0.1% of fans. See you, fellas. Have a good day. Jacob, enjoy your night.
You too.